Welcome to Side Note, real stories, real context across news, culture, and politics. I'm Brandon, and today's story, Bill and Hillary Clinton, they have agreed to testify in the House's ongoing investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. This happens just days before Republican lawmakers were planning to hold both in contempt of Congress for avoiding earlier deposition deadlines. Now let's get into what's happening. So former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, they announced that they've agreed to provide testimony to the House Oversight Committee as part of its investigation into Epstein's activities and his associations. This announcement, it came just before the committee was expected to vote on whether to hold the couple in criminal contempt of Congress for refusing to sit for earlier closed-door transcribed depositions. Now, before we get too far into the politics of who's testifying and when, it does help to reset the core of this story. At the center of all this is Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was a wealthy financier who, for years, he moved inside elite social and political circles in the United States and internationally. He had access to very powerful people, major donors, royalty, celebrities, business leaders. But behind that access was a long-running pattern of sexual abuse involving underage girls. Now, the first major case came in the mid-2000s. He was investigated in Palm Beach, Florida, where local police recommended serious charges after multiple girls had come forward describing abuse at his home. Instead, in 2008, Epstein reached a highly controversial federal plea deal. That agreement allowed him to plead guilty to a lesser state charge and serve a short jail sentence with work release, and it also protected potential unnamed co-conspirators from prosecution. And that deal was negotiated with federal prosecutors, and it later became one of the most heavily criticized plea agreements in modern criminal justice history. Now, the case ends up coming back years later. In 2019, federal prosecutors in New York arrested Epstein again, this time on federal sex trafficking charges. And the case was brought by the U.S. Justice Department. And Epstein, he never went to trial for that. He was found dead in his jail cell in August of 2019. And what authorities ruled, he took his own life. And that single event is one of the biggest reasons this story has basically never gone away. So because the public really never saw a courtroom, there was never a full airing of evidence, and there was never a public accounting of who may have enabled him, who may have been involved. We do know his confidant, his right-hand woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, she's the person who was closest to him in the criminal case. She was later convicted in federal court for helping recruit and traffic underage girls for Epstein. And her conviction, that was confirmed in a courtroom, that Epstein did not operate alone. But even that trial left major unanswered questions about the broader network, and she is now serving an extensive 20-something year prison sentence. I believe 21 years she got, and she's now at a facility in Texas. Now, these powerful names that keep surfacing, part of what keeps resurfacing in media and politics is Epstein's long documented proximity to these powerful figures. Over the years, photos, flight logs, social records have shown Epstein socializing with Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, business leaders, royalty, and other high-profile public figures. Now, it's important to be precise here. Being photographed with Epstein or appearing in social records does not automatically mean criminal wrongdoing. But because Epstein's crimes were real, they were proven and extensive, the public does continue to ask who knew what and when, and that's the gap that these investigations are trying to fill. Now, the reason Congress is revisiting this years later is not to retry Epstein himself. It's to try to look at whether any institutions failed, whether prosecutors abused discretion, whether political or social influence played a role, and whether any individuals were shielded from any scrutiny. So that does include how the 2008 plea deal was structured and why it was allowed to stand for so long. Now, the deeper issue at its core, this isn't just a scandal story, it's a trust story, because Epstein's case exposed how someone with enough money, access, and social power was able to avoid full accountability for years, even after serious allegations were known to law enforcement. That's why every new subpoena, every new document release, and now every high-profile agreement to testify immediately becomes national news, because the unresolved part of this case isn't what Epstein did, it's what systems and people allowed him to keep doing. Now, bringing it back to the Clinton situation, for months, the House Oversight Committee, led by Republican Rep. James Comer of Kentucky, it's been pushing to bring a wide range of witnesses as part of its investigation into Epstein and his network of associates. And last August, the House Oversight panel subpoenaed both Clintons for testimony, but the couple's attorneys repeatedly resisted. They argued that the subpoenas were legally invalid and that they had already supplied sworn written statements containing all the relevant information that they had. Those refusals triggered moves in committees to escalate the matter, basically, including bipartisan votes to advance contempt resolutions designed to bring the issue to the full House floor. Now, a contempt of Congress finding could carry serious penalties, including fines and even jail time, although such action against a former president and first lady would be historically unprecedented. Just this week, as the House Rules Committee completed procedural steps ahead of a planned contempt vote, news did break that the Clintons had agreed to cooperate. Now, their attorneys communicated to the House Oversight staff that Bill and Hillary Clinton are now willing to sit for depositions, but terms have not yet been finalized and those dates have not yet been set. Oversight Chair Comer, he said that he wants clarity on exactly what the Clintons are agreeing to and has resisted earlier proposals the couple's lawyers made, including limits on scope and format. For instance, at one point, the Clintons offered for Bill Clinton to participate in a 4-hour transcribed interview confined to matters the committee deems relevant, and for Hillary Clinton to provide a sworn declaration. Now, Comer rejected that offer, saying it wasn't sufficient to satisfy the subpoena requirements. So while both have signaled willingness to cooperate, the details, including how, when, and where that testimony will take place, are still at this time being negotiated. Now, what does this mean politically? This development comes in a highly charged political environment. Republicans, including Comer, they've pushed for testimony to address questions about longtime relationships between Epstein and powerful figures, including Bill Clinton. Democrats have accused Republicans of weaponizing the investigation for political purposes, especially given other Epstein-related figures who have not been subpoenaed, including former President Donald Trump. Now, a full House contempt vote could still happen if an agreement isn't finalized or if lawmakers decide the testimony terms are insufficient. If contempt charges were approved and referred to the DOJ, then prosecutors could pursue fines or even pursue incarceration, though that scenario, once again, involving a former president would be without modern precedent, and it could take even years to resolve. So why is this story still alive? Well, the Epstein case, it's continued to generate headlines, from a recent Justice Department release of millions of internal documents to ongoing testimony from other witnesses and the Clintons' involvement. It's been one of the most politically charged aspects of the entire inquiry. So now that both Bill and Hillary Clinton have signaled that they will testify, well, the focus will now shift to whether the committee accepts the terms and schedules formal deposition dates or presses the contempt process if negotiations stall. So that is the side note for today. Real stories, real context, news, culture, and politics. So that's today's update. If you do find these short, focused breakdowns useful, you can support the channel by liking the video and subscribing. New episodes cover news, culture, and politics as the stories develop. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.